Yo, YouTube, it's your boy Premier, back today with another banger, and in today's video we will be going over the best builds for Puma Mania in NBA 2K20. But first things first, before we get into the builds, PremierOG, I already know you're good for it, but if you're new, smash that like button, drop a nice comment below, subscribe if you're new, and while you're at it, turn those post noties on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into the builds. First things first, we're going ahead and get started with the point guard. Handed doesn't matter, jersey doesn't matter, it's all up to you. Next, for the skill breakdown, the first build we're going to be going over is a build that was popularized by a 2K Elite player called BP. This build is crazy dominant, it gets elite contact dunks, you can speed boost, and you get Hall of Fame shooting badges. This is one of the best builds in the community right now. Really, I gotta take it, you know, with Gym Rat, and when you hit 99, that's still gonna total out to over a 90 speed and almost a 90 acceleration. So I think this is the best physical profile because you're gonna have a 99 vertical. This is the physical profile I recommend for this build. Next, I'm going to go ahead and fly through these attribute caps and show you the updated attributes for this build. After knocking out the attribute caps on this build, go ahead and get a good look at it. 16 finishing, 21 shooting, 14 playmaking, and 6 defense and rebounding. From the point guard position, that is very good. And the way you get that, you want to go ahead, max out all of his finishing, the close shot, driving layup, driving dunk, and you want to upgrade his standing dunk until you get that 16 finishing badges. Next, max out all of his shooting. If you drop it down even by 1, you are not going to be able to have the max shooting badge upgrades of 21, and that's very important with the Hall of Fame shooting badges. Next, onto the playmaking. I really don't think you need more than 14 playmaking because you're not even going to be able to get Hall of Fame playmaking badges. You can only get gold, so I really think 14 is great for this build because if you go ahead and drop it down anymore, you can't get the 6 defense and rebounding, and that's 2 gold badges if you wanted, or that is 3 silver badges with the 6 defensive badge upgrades at the point guard position. Most of the time you're going to be playing with a lockdown anyway, so that doesn't even matter, but that's going to be incredibly helpful for this build. If you wanted, you really don't have to do any block upgrades or any defense and rebounding, and you can come out with a lot more playmaking badge upgrades. That is just your choice. But this right here is the best version of this build that I recommend. Next, for the body shape, go ahead and select define. You do not want to get bumped by the lockdown. You want to be as small shoulder wise as possible, and you want to have the longest arms even after you minimize them to get the highest 3-pointer and the highest ball control. So for the body shape, I definitely recommend define. Next, for the height, you can look at coming down to 6'2". That is personally up to you. Honestly, if you're at 6'2", the 2's court really isn't an option for you unless you're just a demi and you never give up the ball. Honestly, you would have to play with a lockdown on 3s. At 6'2", you're going to get exposed on defense, but you will have a faster shot and you will be able to speed boost off rip after you minimize the arms. But me, the height that I recommend for this build is 6'3". 6'4" is an option, that's just up to you, but me, I recommend 6'3" for this build. So the weight that you need to go with this build is 172 pounds. Next, onto the wingspan. Go ahead and drop his wingspan down as low as possible. You want the highest ball control off rip, and you want the highest 3-point and mid-range shot possible for this build. Next, for the takeover, honestly, for Puma Mania, you're going to want to get as much rep as possible. Whatever your build's takeover is what you're going to be getting rep for. So if you were just a scoring offensive threat with slashing and sharp primary pie chart, you're really not going to get as much points for throwing lobs. So for this build, I definitely recommend playmaking takeover. Not to mention, with playmaking takeover, there has been a buff recently and there's a ton of ankles being took in the park. Playmaking takeover is back, and if you throw an ankle breaker Hall of Fame, tight handles Hall of Fame, you can take ankles consistently in takeover. So playmaker takeover is what I recommend for this build. And as you can see, you have built an offensive threat similar to Trae Young and similar to Derrick Rose. This is one of the best builds for Puma Mania at the point guard position. After this, I am going to go over a few other builds at the point guard position. Then from there, I will move on to the slashing builds and to the best builds at the center position for Puma Mania to get the most rep possible. For the next build, we're going to go ahead and go over another point guard build. If you want to see the slashing builds, they will be later in this video. But for the skill breakdown on this build, this is one of the most popular builds right now. They're calling it a LeBron build. A lot of YouTubers are starting to use it. It's the pie chart with the most defense and the most playmaking. You can speed boost, not to mention you get almost every contact dunk in the game. So for the skill breakdown, go ahead and choose the skill breakdown with the most defense and the most playmaking. Next, for the physical profile, go ahead and scroll all the way down and select the profile with the most speed, the most acceleration, and the most vertical. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and fly through these attribute upgrades. I'm gonna be right back with the updated attributes for this build. After finishing up on this build, you do not get hardly any more badge upgrades on another build. You're not gonna see another build with this many badge upgrades. 11 finishing, 10 shooting, 20 playmaking, and 20 defense and rebounding. This has 61 badge upgrades in total. This build is a demigod. With the 85 driving dunk, you're going to get all the contact dunks in the game for guards. Not to mention with the 10 shooting badge upgrades, you're going to be fine with the gold quick draw, gold range extender, silver green machine, and like a silver volume shooter or something like that. You'll be fine shooting the ball. Not to mention you're gonna have speed boosting abilities, speed boosting off rip, and then with the 87 steal and the Hall of Fame defensive badges, you're going to be doing fine on the defensive end. So for the body shape, as a defender, as a point guard as well, I do recommend Define. Define's body shape has the longest arms possible for any build. Next, for the height, 6'5", no questions. It's the best point guard height. Overall, it's the best height. Any lower, I'd recommend 6'4" if you recommend going any lower, but 6'5" is the height that I recommend for that build. Next, go ahead and drop down the weight. You want to drop it all the way down to 178 pounds, where you get that +2 to your lateral quickness, and you get that 94 acceleration. Next, for the wingspan here, you honestly have a personal choice. You could drop it down 1. You'd be able to speed boost off rip with the 86 ball control, and it wouldn't really hurt your defensive abilities. But what a lot of point guards are doing is dropping it down as low as possible. That way, if they're cold, that way if they're tired, they can still speed boost. So honestly, that's what I recommend for this build at the point guard position. You're gonna get the most rep playing on a playmaker takeover build at the point guard position. So playmaker takeover for that build. And as you can see, you have built a two-way slashing playmaker similar to Ja Morant, similar to Russell Westbrook. This build is literally a demigod when you get it to 99 overall. It's one of the best builds in the game. But after this, we're going to go ahead and move on to build number 3. For the next build, this build right here is one of the most popular builds in the game at the big man position. We're going to start going over some slasher builds. So this slasher build that we're going to be going over is a power forward. Hand, it doesn't matter. That's all up to you, of course. Next, for the skill breakdown, go ahead and select the skill breakdown with the most dunking. You want to be able to catch the most oops, and you want to catch the most bodies in takeover. That way you get the most rep during Puma. After that, for the physical profile, go ahead and look at the physical profile with the most vertical, the most speed, and the most acceleration. Next, for your potential, I'm going to go ahead and fly through these attribute upgrades and show you the updated attribute caps for this build. Next, after finishing out the attribute upgrades on this build totals out with 28 finishing, 9 playmaking, and 12 defense and rebounding. You could end up with more playmaking badges, but you would lose slasher takeover. The way you get it, go ahead and max out all of your finishing, but only upgrade your close shot to a 79. Go ahead and skip to finishing, you're going to be dunking the ball. Upgrade your playmaking, max out your ball control to that 64, and upgrade your post moves to an 82. Then from there, go ahead and max out all of your defensive, but only upgrade your steal to a 48. Next, for the body shape, you want to select burly. That way you look big, because for the weight for the height, you're going to be 6'10". Larger big men are going to try to back you down. You want your player to look as big as possible, because you're going to be dropping down the weight to 226 pounds on this build. So that burly is really going to make up for the lower weight and lower height. But you need that lower weight and lower height to dunk the ball like a Giannis type build. And for the wingspan, you heard it, Giannis, so you're going to need long arms. Go ahead and upgrade your wingspan to 89.9 inches. If you max out the arms, I've heard from Damo himself that if you max out, you're not going to catch as many oops as if you had it 2 below the max. So upgrade it to 89.9 inches on this build. Then for the takeover, you already know it's an interior finisher type build. Go ahead and select slasher takeover on this build. And as you can see, you have built an interior finisher similar to Sean Kemp, Blake Griffin, and Anthony Davis. This build right here, running with the proper point guard who has great oop IQ, you will catch every oop. You can dunk on anyone in takeover. This is one of the best slasher builds in the game. So after this, we're going to go ahead and move on to build number 4. Now, for build number 4, we're going to go ahead and go over one more slashing build. Then we'll go ahead and go over one more final point guard build. In my opinion, the best point guard build in the game. But for this build, go ahead and select the small forward, hand, it doesn't matter, all that stuff. For the skill breakdown, you want to go ahead and select the skill breakdown with the most finishing. You want to be able to catch as many oops and dunk on as many people as possible. And you heard it right, dunk on as many people as possible. So you're going to need the highest vertical. Go ahead and select the right physical profile. You want to select the physical profile with the most vertical, the most speed, and the most acceleration. Next, for your potential, I'm going to fly through these attribute caps and show you the updated attributes for this build. Now, after finishing up on this build, 27 finishing, 10 shooting, 10 defense, and rebounding. From the slashing position, you really cannot ask for more. He can space the floor, not to mention he can dunk on anyone and still play defense. The way you're going to get that, go ahead and upgrade your close shot to a 64, then max out everything in the finishing category. Then you want to upgrade all of your shooting, only upgrade your free throw to a 77 though. Then from there, max out all of your defense and rebounding, everything besides the offensive rebounding. You want to upgrade that to a 44. Then from there, move on to the body shape. Go ahead and select define. Then you do have a choice. It's between 6'8" and 6'9". At 6'9", you get a higher standing dunk. So if you were to sit on the block, you're going to be able to catch more oops. At 6'8", you're going to be able to still catch standing oops. It's really your choice. You're going to be a little faster. Me personally, I do recommend 6'9". That way, if you're playing an event like Formula or something like that, you can still play the slasher position and have a chance to possibly win that event. Then for the weight, you want to go ahead and drop down the weight. That way you get a little boost to your acceleration and you get a boost to your lateral quickness as well. Let me see here. I'm not mistaken, yeah, it was 195 pounds. Yeah, 195 pounds for this build. Then for the wingspan, same thing as the interior force, 2 below the maximum. So for this build, it's 88.8 inches. Then for this takeover, you already know it's slasher takeover on this build. And as you can see, you have built a pure slasher similar to James Worthy, similar to Brandon Ingram. This build right here is going to be able to space the floor. You're going to be able to dunk on anyone, and you're going to be able to catch almost any oop. For Puma Mania, with the right point guard who has great oop IQ, you are going to be unstoppable. But after this, let's go ahead and move on to the final build, build number 5. Next, for the final build, it is going to be a point guard build, and it doesn't matter. That's really your choice. I personally make them right-handed. Always made right-handed players. Then for the skill breakdown, go ahead and select the skill breakdown with the most playmaking, with the highest ball control, and you want your player to still be able to shoot the ball at a high rate. Not to mention, once you get to that 99.9, you'll still be able to unlock the contact dunks on this build. The physical profile that I recommend though is this physical profile here at the very bottom, the 88 vertical, 92 acceleration, and 94 speed. Next, I want to go ahead and fly through these attribute upgrades and show you the updated attribute caps for this build. After knocking out the attribute upgrades on this build, 11 finishing, 15 shooting, 27 playmaking, and 9 defense and rebounding. The way you get that, go ahead and max out your close shot, max out your driving layup, max out your driving dunk. Go ahead and max out everything in the shooting department, but only upgrade your free throw to an 83. Next, only upgrade your pass accuracy to a 94, upgrade your ball handling to a 95. From there, max out everything in the defense and rebounding category. Max out your perimeter defense, lateral quickness, steal, and you want to max out your defensive rebounding as high as you can to that 73. If you were to put these attribute upgrades into like block or something, you would not get as many badge upgrades as if you put it into the defense and rebounding. So that's why I recommend that for that build. Next, for the body shape, go ahead and select define. Then for the height, I recommend 6'5". On the weight, you do have an option here. I do recommend dropping down the weight so that way you get the highest vertical. You want the highest acceleration at the point guard position. You just want to be fast as possible. Then for the wingspan on this build, you want to be able to shoot the ball as well as possible. At 99 overall, you're going to get an 82-3. Not to mention, if your lockdown is like a two-way slashing playmaker that you're playing with, you would total out, once he's running Floor General Hall of Fame, with the 86-3. And according to 2K Labs, that means you'd be able to make 100% of your threes with the proper timed green release. Next, for the takeover, you definitely want to select playmaker takeover. That way you can snatch as many ankles and you can get as much rep as possible. Since your build is a playmaking build, when you're going to be throwing lobs, you're going to be throwing flashies during Puma, I recommend playmaking takeover for this build. And as you can see, you have built a slash and playmaker similar to Steph Curry, similar to Derrick Rose, similar to Ja Morant. This right here is one of the best builds in the game. It totals out with 62 badge upgrades. At the moment, I have not found a build with more badge upgrades. Drop it down below if you have found one yourself. But that's all for today's video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Make sure to turn those post notifications on. It's your boy Premier, and I'm out. Peace!